I'm super excited to share some really big news. And so it's funny because over the last several weeks, I've been telling everyone that we've sold the $7 program over 6,000 times now. And yesterday, whenever I was doing one of my Zoom meetings with a new client, Christina pulls me off aside and says, Laurel, you've actually sold the program as of today 10,000 times. And I was like, well, like 10,000 recurring. And she's like, no, 10,000 different people have bought your $7 program over the last 4.5 years. And I just was like, wow. And so yesterday, whenever I made the post on my Facebook profile, which by the way, I appreciate all of the love, there were a lot of really great questions surrounding, should I do a $7 program? Would you do it again? How did you build it? And so in this video, I'm literally going to give you guys a realistic look at what does the maintenance look like? How do we get new customers in? How do we optimize it? How did we fix our churn rate? All of that fun stuff we're actually going to talk about right now in this episode. Okay. So first things first, I got to give you guys kind of the strategy behind why I started it, because a lot of people just assume that, I started the $7 program first, and that could not have been furthest from the truth. It's actually the last thing I started inside my business. The very first thing I did was I had an agency. Then I moved into high ticket coaching. And so I had really, two cash flow producing assets in my business. And, if you guys remember, I always tell you guys the story of how I started my business in April of 2018. And it literally started with me going live, just like I'm doing right now, and, giving value and giving away something that we call value bombs. Okay. Cheat sheets and checklists. And so I had this idea, well, if I want to give this business a try, I need to talk to as many people as possible. And so ever since that first day of going live, I've made it my strategy that I'm not only going to give away content, but I'm also going to try to talk to people. That's the fastest path to cash. I mean, in my head, like it's one of those things. I started advertising in 2000. I started studying it in 2000. I didn't actually get to start implementing anything until I started my job at the TV station in 2002. And so I always, had an eye for, how to get customers, how to get clients because of my television experience. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, she's just another internet marketer. And that's not true. I didn't get my start in internet marketing. As a matter of fact, I was really oblivious to the whole, make money online kind of thing until I actually started my business for, almost 2 decades working in television. And so I went live every single day, giving value, bringing people into Messenger. And then, I booked out my little boutique agency by the summer. I started in mid-April of 2018. And by June or July, I can't remember which, I had already booked out, my little boutique agency that I was putting together. And, at that point, I met Chad Thibodeau. And he started talking about, well, you got to be able to leverage and scale. You don't want to just keep on, taking more agency clients unless you want to really scale your agency. And I was like, well, I'm really not a fan of, having to be tied to the ads manager and talk to all of these agency clients, every single week. And so he's like, you should do a coaching program. And so, I never forget, we went to a Mexican restaurant, and he scratched on a napkin what this program would look like. And so, in August, I went live, and with 2 Facebook lives, I actually sold out the beta seats inside my new high ticket program, which was a 45-day ads accelerator. And so at this point, I had agency clients that was bringing in cash flow, and I had a higher ticket coaching program that was bringing in cash flow. And so in November, I decided I was going to test something. I was like, well, I'm having a whole bunch of messenger conversations, right? Because remember, I was going live, giving away cheat sheets, having all these messenger conversations. And so there was like 2,000 people in my messenger that couldn't afford working with me at an agency standpoint. They couldn't work with me from a coaching standpoint. And so I launched the $7 program. But you have to remember, this was key. This was before I even started running ads for my own business. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have a business page. This was all done on my profile. And, I had thousands of people that I had already talked to in Messenger. I had a very engaged following on my profile. I went live Black Friday. I was going to do this as like a Black Friday special. I was actually going to raise the price to $47 a month. But like, after going live twice, I had filled over 400 seats into that program. I went back and followed up with everyone in Messenger. Yes, thousands of people. It took several weeks. This is not something I did all in a day. I never do anything all in a day. Like, you guys are like, for those of you guys who've been following me for a while, you guys know I'm a huge fan of micro stepping. Like, I always like split everything up. But you can see how focused I was on only doing one thing and one thing only, having conversations. I didn't have a funnel at this time. As a matter of fact, whenever I launched my $7 program, I didn't even pre-record any of the content. I just took all of my Facebook Lives and all of the cheat sheets and I put it into an organized ClickFunnels. And that was my first time experiencing with anything like ClickFunnels or any kind of funnel software. Up in this point, my funnel that actually made me my first and second six figures was just Facebook Live, cheat sheet, link to book a call, and then PayPal. That was my funnel that made me my first and second six figures. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, like I don't have any of the right things that I need in order to start my business. I started my business with zero. Okay. I started my business with zero and built it up to 200,000, like before, like even getting any of the things. Like, a lot of people say that you need a website. I literally just got a website probably a year ago. I had made my first million before even having a website. So you don't really need all of that fun stuff, but just to kind of give you context, and this is the reason why I'm telling you guys this story, is think about how many messenger conversations I had over those several months. There were thousands of people inside my messenger. A lot of people think I created my $7 program as a cash flow asset, but I actually created it to leverage something that I was already doing, having conversations with people, but I wanted to have a one-to-many conversation. And so I wanted to leverage. That is one of the things that I was gifted. I don't know, like I've always understood leverage and leveraging work and all of that fun stuff. And so I knew early on this was going to be something that, I wanted it to be cash flow positive one day. But again, I did it the slow and steady way because the fast and sexy way eats up a lot of cash. A lot of people wanted me to start running cold ads to it and all of this stuff. They were, like so many people were like, well, you've already sold it 400 times. It's validated. Let's go, go, go. And I just sat back and I was like, that's not the way that I wanted to do it, because here's the thing. Selling it to 400 to 500 people who are in your warm audience is a completely different game than selling it to someone who is less warm. Meaning that you guys who all know, love, and trust me are going to excuse the little imperfections that came along with that $7 program, right? Because remember, I had taken all of my Facebook Lives, all of my cheat sheets, so they were Google documents and live videos, which, by the way, that is still most of the content in the program. You don't need all the fancy stuff. But my warm audience is more forgiving. And so people logically would be like, well, Laurel, don't you want to scale with ads? And I'm like, well, I want a micro step. Can I recreate the magic that just took me months to do, but do it with a shorter time frame? And so this is what I did. I made a list of all of the colleagues that I had in the space who had larger audiences than me. I brought up Chad Thibodeau a while ago, and Chad Thibodeau has a huge following, and this is even back in 2018. He was huge back then, and he still is today. But he invited me to do all of these events in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, a lot of people would be thinking, well, you probably made a lot of money doing that, but I didn't charge. I wanted to get in front of as many people as possible. That's the thing. Even today, I do events with the people that I want because I want to do it for the impressions and I want to grow my audience, not necessarily for the money. Because think about this. Chad Thibodeau introducing me to his audience was way more valuable than any cash that could have been exchanged. And so that's literally how I grew my business. I borrowed people's audiences because here's the thing. They trusted Chad. I did a lot of stuff with Justin Demers. His audience trusted him. I did a lot of stuff with my mentor. I did a lot of things with colleagues who had other people's, who had audiences that I could borrow. That was a huge thing. Like, a lot of people think Laurel did it organically and then turned on the ads. I did it in micro steps. I wanted to recreate the same effect that I did organically over the next couple of weeks, but by borrowing other people's audiences, I was able to go live in people's groups over a 10-day period and create that same amount of traffic of people who knew, liked, and trust me because they knew, liked, and trust the person that was introducing me. And so that's how I started to put an accelerate on it. At this point, I still didn't run ads. I wanted to optimize it. I wanted to see how this audience that wasn't as warm as my warm audience, how they would do the information and how they were able to implement it and get that direct feedback loop. I'm a person that's all about, I want to get it out there so I can get a direct feedback loop. Like, if you're in my $7 program or Lean on Laurel, I'm constantly pushing you guys. Don't wait to launch an ad. Just freaking launch it. Nothing bad's going to happen. Like, the worst thing is it sucks. Well, guess what? 9 out of the 10 videos that I launch suck. 9 out of the 10 ads I do suck. But the reason I've got success is because I try to beat myself over and over again by putting out more content. The more content I put, and this is where, it's one of those things where quality over quantity, I don't necessarily agree with, because when you're trying to figure things out, my belief is that you need to put out more volume so that you can figure out where your sweet spot is when it comes to quality. And so this is probably exhausting you guys, just listening to my path to getting to where I am with the 10, having sold the program 10,000 times now. But I want you guys to have a realistic look, because here's the thing. Now that we're running ads to cold traffic behaves very differently. They're less forgiving. They're grumpy. They're frustrated. You have to think, none of these people know me. They don't like me. They don't trust me yet. They bought the $7 program. Ads are hard work. So you can just about imagine, the support that goes behind the scenes. Like, that was a major question. What does the support in the back end of running a program like this actually look like? So my wife and I run the program for the most part. We do have an assistant that helps us out with smaller things, but for the most part, my wife, bless her heart, she's the one that handles all of the customer support stuff. And I know a lot of you guys are like saying, well, Laurel, don't you guys automate stuff? Kartra can automate it and go high level and all of this stuff. But yes, some of the things can be automated, but we still have to manually put people into a Facebook group, because you have to keep in mind, a lot of people's Facebook profile names don't match the name that's on the credit card. So we have to fact check, like, make sure that the people coming into the group actually bought the program. And then when they leave, we have to manually take them out. And so my wife keeps this big spreadsheet with every single customer, the day they bought, and all of that fun stuff. Like I said, and the support emails and the help desk tickets and stuff, even though it's a $7 program, you guys know how people are. People don't follow directions. They don't follow the rules. They're easily frustrated. And so $7 program uses up most of the resources in our business. And, I run another program, my Lean on Laurel program. We only have 50 people in there. I cap it off at 50. It's $1,000 a month. That program runs way more smoothly. Like, a lot of people think that just because it's low ticket, it's going to be easier. As a matter of fact, the low ticket's the hardest thing we do, honestly. And people always ask me the question, well, Laurel, would you do it again? And, I would not do it again in 2023, only because, the time that I launched the $7 program, a lot of people were going high ticket. As a matter of fact, I got made fun of inside one of the largest coaching groups, because when I launched my $7 a month ads program, people were saying, there's no way that anyone's ever going to give her, she's not going to be successful. She's only going to be known as like the low quality coach and all of this stuff. They made fun of my content. They made fun of my Google cheat sheets. They made fun of my power content strategy, my $5 ads. They made fun of my $7 program, and I will say this, and I say this proudly, most of the people who were making fun of me, where are you now? But anyway, that I don't like throwing anything in people's faces, but it's a process. It wasn't easy. Everyone is not cut out for this. It takes a lot of critical thinking. It takes a lot of long hours. Now I've got my entire business. I gave my agency clients to my students. I don't really do that anymore except for fun. I take on fun projects with colleagues, like Joel Irway and, other industry experts who, need help tweaking. I do it. I don't even charge them because, it's just fun. I can do it because I want to, not because I have to. And, I have this freedom lifestyle that so many of you guys, really want. But I want you guys to understand that this was a journey. This was not something that happened overnight. You might have found me last night, or you might have found me last week or last month or last year. But I've been working at this since April 2018, doing things the very, very slow way. But it was fine because every single year my business did this. And then there came a magic point where it just did this, and now it's doing this again. And it's freaking awesome. I've got my workday down to, 3 days a week, 4-hour days, and you can have this, but you have to be clear on what you want. The one thing that I didn't do was, as soon as my income increased, I didn't go out and buy a new car. As a matter of fact, I'm still driving my 2013 Honda. I live in the bayou. I have a very modest beach house. It's in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's not on the Malibu coastline or anything like that. But you have to be clear on what you want. If you're truly doing this for financial freedom, I will say this: starting a low ticket membership is not the way to start that out. Like, you need the cash flow. I would not be able to run my $7 group if I didn't have the cash flow coming in from my other higher ticketed assets. There's no way. And so a lot of you guys, if you want to do a low ticket, I'm not going to poo-poo your idea. Like, as a matter of fact, I'm happy I started the $7 program because everything fell the way that it did, but you got to be smart about it. You can't think that you're going to be, a millionaire overnight or anything like that. It takes work. In the early days of my $7 program, and even now, people are like, I cannot believe you do live Zoom coaching calls in there. But for me, that's a live feedback loop. Like, there's no way to keep a program like that updated. Have you ever bought a course, like, especially with Facebook ads or YouTube ads, right? Because we don't just do Facebook ads. We do YouTube ads, TikTok ads, Instagram ads. But the way that I'm able to keep the program updated all the time is by doing live workshops. And so again, I'm leveraging time to do these live Zoom workshops. You guys get all the value. You guys get to ask me questions, but most of all, it allows me to keep the course updated without me having to do all of these videos in my free time. I leverage the time that I have with you guys to create the content for you. And I think you guys enjoy it better than having a whole bunch of pre-recorded videos that are going to be outdated as soon as I freaking record them and upload them, right? You guys get to actually do the workshops in real time, just as I am launching new things and experimenting with new things. You guys get to come along with me inside that journey. So if you want to continue along with me on that journey and you haven't checked out my $7 program, or maybe you were in my $7 program and you thought it sucked, I'm going to invite you to come back because we have made things 100 times better. We still have live Zoom coaching calls. I'm bringing in experts. Last week we had Joel Irway. The month before we had Vince Reed. I'm working on getting a couple of other experts to come in and teach you guys the things, that I am not yet an expert at. There's so many people who have, wanted to come in and teach my $7 program, and I'm opening the doors for that. And so we have a really great community. If you're wanting to learn ads, maybe you want to run YouTube ads. I just updated the YouTube ads workshop that I did because Google changed the targeting, but that's what's really cool. Live workshops, you get live help, weekly Q&A. Just go to addcoachingfor7.com, sign up, and, I'll hope to see you inside the program. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for all of the support over the last 4.5 years. I love every single one of you guys, and I'll